Hello again, and welcome to the cross-government delivery community. It's great to see 67 people in the meeting so far already. 70 numbers are zooming up fabulously. Today we have a session on Agile Gaming, and Sarah, from which department are you in now, Sarah? Because you were switching.
Yeah, so I'm still currently in the Home Office. I will be moving to the Department of International Trade in a month's time. So, yeah.
And Justin Coyne from the Home Office as well. And is it just you two, or?
And Simon Masson from the Home Office as well.
Simon Masson as well. Fabulous. Thank you all for this. It's very popular. Hot topic. A couple of things that we're going to dispense with the usual pleasantries of introductions for new people who are new to this particular meetup, and we're going to go straight into it because it's a fun-packed interactive session. If you haven't clicked on the mural link, click on the mural link. I'm assuming that's really essential, and sometimes it can take a couple of seconds to get in. And also, James Cattle is recording the session, so you have been warned, and that will be published afterwards because we've got lots of people who want to see this stuff, but unfortunately have clashes.
I like cupcakes.
So yes, exactly. So with no further ado, I'm going to hand over to Sarah, Simon, and Justin.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm Justin. I'm, as Barry says, part of Home Office, Chief Technology Office. Thank you for the opportunity to run through this with you today. Thank you to the folks that organise this on a regular basis, everyone that comes along keeps it going. And thank you to the little group so there's 3 of us here today, but we are representing a larger Agile Gaming community within the Home Office. So thank you to those too. We have shared a link to the mural board. This session is heavily dependent upon that. Please go and have a look. At the minute, there is 47 people in there and growing, and there's 70 on the course. So there's a few folks that are still not in. If you're having problems, put something in the chat and someone will help you to get access. Okay. So what we're going to do today is I've just summoned everyone to me on the board, sorry. So everyone should now see everything that I'm looking at. So we're going to use this to present from. So everyone now should be following me. What we're going to do today is we're going to have a quick exploration of what gaming is, what it means to us as Agile delivery managers, how we can use it, how to create games. We are going to try out a game, a simulation. We haven't run this before with anybody else, so there is an element of winging it here. So yes, there we go. What could possibly go wrong with 80 people trying this out? We're going to share and gather some of the games that we've got with you, and hopefully crowdsource some ideas from yourself. And then we're going to leave you with an invitation to join us to be part of our community group. Okay, so we're going to jump straight in because this game is split into 2 separate parts. A bit we'll do now and a bit that we'll do later on after we've done some number crunching. Okay, so I'd like to introduce you to your new company. You work at Pen Flippers Incorporated. We have had some flipping researchers that have witnessed that our customers neglect the importance of flipping in their lives. To help out with this, the company has generated an automatic process that creates pen flipping videos and sends out videos in the post to all of the customers. So it's your role in this to create some of the content for the video. So what we want you to do and what you will need is you will need a pen, and the bigger the pen, the better, as long as it's not kind of this big. So in order to create the content, we want you to flip the pen 360 degrees and catch it in the alternative hand. And then once you've caught it in the other hand, flip it back into the other. A drop pen, I want you to count how many you can do in a sprint. A drop pen loses a point. A catch but an incomplete flip doesn't get a point. Excellent. I can see people trying it out. So it's not as easy as it initially looks. If people would like an alternative to this, then we have an alternative version for people that might struggle to do that. Any questions on that?
Anyone
Excellent.
needs an alternative?
Does it have to be a single flip, or can it go over like 2 or 3 times before I catch it?
Single flip, please. 360 degrees is what our customers have indicated that they like. And so what you'll see, just here where I am on the board, there is a link to a spreadsheet. I'd like you to click on that spreadsheet to access it. And I'd like you to input into there how many flips you think you could achieve in 20 seconds. Actually, can someone unlock that? I've locked it.
If you double click, it was still working to access it.
Ah, fantastic. Whoever that was, thank you.
And the link is also in the sidebar chat.
I think it may have just been deleted.
Oh,
Yeah, oh dear.
we pop it back in.
If you're able to get into the spreadsheet and you get a disconnected from server notification, you just double click anywhere, it should connect you back in.
And in the spreadsheet, what we noticed if multiple people do it at the same time, you can overwrite. So if you put your name in first and then your estimate, and then when we do it, you will put your actuals in.
And how many seconds did you say, Justin?
20. So EtherCalc is a really sort of simple spreadsheet. It occasionally does throw up bad gateways. Stick with it. It should come through. I hope. I bet it's never had 76 people accessing it before. But unfortunately, like Google Docs and spreadsheets are all locked down, so we can't have access to those. I can see there's a lot of practicing going on as well. Looks like Jamie's got it nailed. Okay, has anyone still not got it, an estimate in there? Right, okay. I can't see the spreadsheet, guys, because I can't get in it either. Can you see if there's enough? Is there enough data in there for us to start?
I think so, yeah.
I can see
10, 15
entries in there.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Good. Let's go with that then. So we will start the timer when the pressure really mounts, and you'll have 20 seconds. Please follow the rules. Okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go. If anyone's got a screenshot as well, that'd be great.
Time's up.
Fantastic. And then if you can go back in and put your actuals in there. How did everyone do with their actuals versus their estimates? It's tricky, this because I can't. It's bad gateway for me. Can anyone else see?
Some people have got loads that they got in their actuals.
Okay, so Lewis, you estimated 7 and you got 2, so you overestimated there quite a bit.
Guilty.
But then we got another one the other way around. We got 6 and 12. Estimated 10 and got 7. So very, very few are on the mark. Estimated 10 and got 2. Fantastic. Very optimistic. And what assumptions did you make while you were doing that estimate? Did you have anything to go off?
Went off the practice, so I was basing it on consistently being able to do the same thing for 20 seconds.
Thanks, Hannah. Richard, 2 and actual 3. Okay. Made it up. There you go. Thanks, Debbie. Never do that, surely. Right. Okay. So we'll go on to the next round. So very similar to Black Friday, but pen flipping fluorescent yellow Friday is coming soon. And this is a time when the demand for pen flipping videos really goes through the roof. The head of flipping really wants to know how many you can have ready for postage in 6 sprints time. So what I need you to do is to estimate how many you can do in 6 sprints. So you've now learnt how many you can do. Can you tell us how many you can do in 6 sprints? Same rules. And we go back into the spreadsheet. Hopefully that's working for some of you, or enough of you at least, and put in a number. And how we'll do this is we'll do it in sprint chunks. So we'll do 20 seconds, you'll go in and put an actual. We'll do another 20 seconds, you'll go in and put an actual, so we can record each individual sprint. It's important that we build up each of those data points. Any questions?
1 pen at a time, Justin, just to check. Is that the rules?
It is 1 pen at a time. That's an interesting question, though. Wow, super dexterity. Do you think there's an interest in that? Do you think it would give you more if you could do more?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Got a firm shake of the head from Barry there. So
I'm sure there's some analogies we could draw off that.
You know what I'm like at multitasking? My hand-eye coordination.
Yeah. How many more people do we need to throw at this in order for it to go faster? Okay, so ready to start. So we'll start the first sprint in 3, 2, 1, go.
Three, 2, 1, time's up.
Cool. If you can put your actuals into the spreadsheet. Oh, it's come back. It's working now.
I get the feeling it's just auto-scaled.
Is it? Yeah, so if anyone was struggling before, if you maybe refresh it now, it seems to have come through. Okay, next sprint starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Three, two, one. Time's up.
Numbers in. 35. Wow. Okay, numbers in. So we've got a couple more times to do this. 3. Let's start the next one in 3, 2, 1, go.
Sort of part of our secret plan to train civil servants to become jugglers.
Yeah. Fantastic. We get the. It's interesting seeing the difference in the techniques. I say techniques. I'm not sure whether Darren's cheating. Is there any air gap in yours, Darren? Or are you actually just passing from hand to hand?
This match is like this. Oh, but lower down.
Yeah, so maybe there's some cross team learning we can do here. Okay, numbers are in. Next sprint starting. 3, 2, 1, go. If anyone needs a repetitive strain injury lawyer, we have some contact details available afterwards. Fantastic, numbers in. 2 more to go. Thank you very much for bearing with this. And if the cat does want to take part, Natalie, then that's okay. We're on the home straight. Okay. Next one, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Fantastic. Put those actuals in and then...
Last one. Give it your pen flipping all. You're at the pen flipping Olympics.
This is the one where you decide whether you get to keep your jobs or not, whether you can really hit your estimates. If you don't hit the estimate, then jobs may be cut. Okay, start in 3, 2, 1, go.
And 10's down.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Thank you very much, everyone. So that's part 1 of the game over. We come back to it after we've just had a brief interlude to give Bunsen, Honeydew Melon some time to do some number crunching in the background. Okay, I'll hand over to Sarah.
Cool, thanks. So, whilst that number crunching is going on in the background, you can all relax your hands, give your fingers a break. So I just wanted to talk to you all about who we are and kind of what the actual purpose of this session is. So as mentioned at the start, Justin, Simon and I are just 3 representatives of the Home Office Agile Gaming community that we set up. And we set up the gaming community to help promote agile learning and agile techniques in and around the Home Office. And at times it can feel like we are a bit of a superhero group swooping in and performing all of these daring acts and different games to play. Other times it can feel a bit like we're a Dungeons and Dragons group playing in, parents' basements. If anyone else is a D&D player, representation all the way. So, why are we doing this? What is the purpose of what we do? And what is it that we're trying to achieve? So unfortunately, it's not all fun and games. There is an element of work to this. So the purpose of the group is that we are trying to set up this gaming community and make sure that it is self-sustaining. We want to help people learn about how they can do delivery in complex spaces, what that actually means, what techniques and tricks can they use, and most importantly, how to take theoretical learning and actually put it into practice of real life, because you can read a textbook and it doesn't always go in, and you get into the real world and it's like, how does this work? So our objectives are to create the self-sustaining gaming community, make sure people actually enjoy attending the sessions, that they get something out of it, that there is a community that they can rely on and contact regularly, and that there is a curated bank of knowledge such as links and boards and resources so that they can use that to play the games themselves. We're also interested in setting up a group of facilitators to help build confidence to run these games and workshops throughout the entire department. And one of our outcomes is that we get this rota of facilitators who can run workshops, and that these sessions are run by at least a minimum of 2 facilitators. So the Home Office is the term that the department uses is product ways of working, which is essentially a catch-all term for product centricity, agile centricity, anything to do with kind of agile ways of working. So in line with that, part of our sessions are about helping people understand what that actually means and what does agile and complex delivery mean, getting positive reactions and adoptions to complex delivery, getting people to understand how to do different types of techniques for complex delivery and the vocabulary they need to use. So all of our games that we either create ourselves or that we've got from around the internet and that are in existence already have a learning agenda to them, so that there's a practical element to these sessions too.
Cool. Thanks, Sarah. So why use games to do that? Well, as many of us know, some of the concepts that we use when delivering in complex worlds, some of the ideas seem really counterintuitive. So for people that have been doing project delivery for long periods of time, to suddenly tell them to do less and you'll do more seems difficult to understand. To tell them to only do one thing at once rather than doing multiple things. And all of those ideas are only gained through experience. So the games allow people to look through a different lens and have that experiential learning. It gives the ability to look at certain scenarios, but apply a different lens to it. Mainly, it's safe. So we can have confrontation within the bounds of a game about same discussion points, but do it in a safe way, because once we leave that session and that game, actually we leave that behind and we can go back out into the real world. And what it does is it allows us to recreate certain scenarios from the real world, to show the dysfunction, to take a peek at it like this guy's doing here, and then see how that might apply out to the rest of the things that we do. Mention experiential. The other thing about it is it's not only learning the concept that we want to get across about products or about agile or about complex adaptive, but it's also about learning a different behavior set. A lot of the work that we do involves people working together, collaborating, bouncing ideas off each other, ritual dissent, that sort of thing, and that sort of thing is difficult to do, but actually this gives us that space. So it's about learning those behaviors and how to work in a collaborative way. I thought a good representation of this is this section from a film. Anyone know what film that is?
Which section are we on, Justin? I don't know.
If you follow me, Keith, I'll just summon you. There you go.
I
Awesome.
must be in a different board.
Oh,
I'm trying to click on the things as I go through to keep up with you, but I don't know where.
Inception, Justin.
it is. It's Inception. Nice one, whoever that was. Thank you. Cool. Which is
Yeah,
awesome.
that's Darren, no problem.
Yeah,
Christopher
So-
Nolan. Good film.
brilliant film. Okay, so what is a game then, and how is it different than other things? So if we imagine there's a girl that has a basketball and is bouncing that ball up and down, walking down the road, let's say, that is called associative play. So the benefit there for the girl is muscle reflex, dexterity. There is learning in there for it, but it's not a game. Let's say that girl then gets a friend. They stand together and they start throwing the ball to one another, just with the aim of having fun. Again, there is learning about catching and throwing and about distance and those things. That's called streaming play. The big differentiator between that and a game is that there's a rule and an objective there to achieve, and that people agree to enter into those rules when they set off, and it's bounded. So key distinction points. Okay, so let's have a look at those little parts in more then. So first of all, there is a game space. So it's that agreement that the participants will take part in a game for a period of time, abide by the rules, and then when the game is closed, we'll leave it behind. That's the game space. The boundaries is that period of time, is the material that you use, and the agreement. The rules are the instructions that you give, written or verbal, and it's useful sometimes to kind of like play with those, to sometimes leave them maybe a little bit fuzzy, so that the participants have to work those out. The artifacts are the objects that people play with. So we were using a spreadsheet in order to capture data. We'll come on to some visualizations after this. We also used a mural, so those sort of things. And then the goal is the aim that people are working towards. And again, same with the rules. You can play around with having fuzzy goals with which to see the type of responses you get from participants in that. Okay, so how do you go about evolving a game? So first up, you have to imagine something. You have to kind of like tap into that naive child within yourself to come up with some sort of concept that would work. Sometimes the further out there, the better initially. Then go about turning that into something real. So creating those rules and communicating that to the participants so that they can engage with it. You then open the world by starting the timer, by ending the timer. So inviting people to step into the area and the world that you have created. That you then explore the world, which is where you fight against it. You work with the rules, you fight a little bit about the rules, you work together, you collaborate. And there's different techniques for doing this, similar to those that we all use within facilitation on a regular basis. Broadly based around convergence and divergence and the introduction of certain nodes. So let's say we start off with a picture of flowers. If we wanted to converge that into something, we would do an activity, ask some convergent type questions like, what is your favorite flower? And we might get the answer of a sunflower. And at each of those two points, there's a node and there's an opportunity for exploration at those points. So you could ask exploration or experiment type questions on those. And again, if once we've got the flower, if then we wanted to reopen that back up, we could ask things like, what does sunflower remind you of? And then kind of like post it up a whole host of other ideas. And the stringing together of these different parts is what enables us to create a game. then the final part of it is we need to kind of like close the world and come back into the room. So take whatever it is you've learned, all of the whatever friction that there has been between you, whatever emotional kind of happenings that went on, that stays within the game. But let's take the learning forwards. So close the world and back out into the real world. Okay. So now we're going to jump back into the game. So we're going to go back in and we're going to explore the game that we were in before. So we're going to hand over to.
Still dealing with technical problem. Give me a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Just Phil.
No problems. So earlier on, to link back the how do you do the imagination and the creating. So the section of the board which was create the world, that was where we put up the set of rules that we're all going to work to. It was you work at Pen Flippers Inc. Opening the world was the start of the timer. Does anyone have any? So oh yeah, a lot of this, by the way, is based on this book, which is Game Storming. Really good way of facilitating meetings. A lot of the things that they reference here aren't necessarily games as we have interpreted them to be. There's a lot of just generally good facilitation techniques. But the addition of certain simulations and scenarios, for me, is what converts that into a game.
So in our considered,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to quickly ask, when you create the games, do you find you get, I think you might have touched on it earlier, do you find more easier adoption if you create a game world that's closer to people's real world environment, or is it the opposite? If you make it as far removed from the real world, do you then get more adoption and more honesty, if that makes sense?
Great question. I'm not sure that we'll have any evidence to support this, because generally the games that we create are quite a long way away from the things that people do. But I think we've done that intentionally to create that separation, to create that air gap. Actually, like in order for you to step into this, you're stepping into a completely different world.
Yep.
I don't know. I'd invite anyone else got any experience of that.
No, that's about it. It's sort of in my mind, it's one of those catch-22s. If it's closer to the real world, then maybe you get some real tangible, I guess, outcomes of doing the game. If it's further away, you might create a more sort of comfortable environment for people to participate, because it's not so maybe raw or real. But no, thank you for that. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah. And I think it allows people to be honest about that particular scenario without maybe carrying the baggage of history with other things.
Yeah.
How are we doing, Sam?
My estimate was slightly wrong, so give me one more minute and then it'll definitely be done.
Okay.
Just a quick question from me, Justin. Thinking of games and retros, and I used to do lots of games when we were all working in the office. So whether it was Lego, and I know the pen is like the penny flip game, and used to do lots of collaboration games, bingo, things that would get people working together and build teamwork in. And it's harder, isn't it, when you're just looking at a screen all the time and it's Miro or whatever, and you're trying to get people to collaborate. So yeah, just any tips on cross working, and certainly I find with my team it's got better, because I've got a new team now, but sometimes people don't like putting their cameras on and engaging and just trying to do that. So really difficult when you're not in the same room to build up that engagement remotely.
Yeah, and I think the gaming sort of like sits on top of all of it sits on top of and is part of all of those other things. I guess if there are existing dynamics, it won't solve the dynamics. But what it can do is it can aim to improve the levels of safety that you have with another through the play. So if you can, again, if for whatever reason that safety isn't there, if they learn to trust other people through playing these games, then this can help. But I totally hear what you're saying about it's more difficult in front of a mural board or a Miro board, whichever it is, because there is a separation from engagement there. And also from creating the games, it's also more difficult to do because we can't necessarily do the same things that we would do in reality. I mean, like some of the games that we have in reality are like making hats and boats or throwing balls to one another that just doesn't translate through to the virtual world.
Yeah, technology can be the blocker, although we're all working in tech, so sometimes the simpler the better, as in the amount of times we've done things and I can't access that, or even with the spreadsheet, I can't get in, and it's a distraction from the overall outcome, which is the collaboration piece.
Agreed. Sarah, just thinking, shall we carry on to the sections we were going to do afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely.
A little bit more, take the pressure off a little bit more time.
Yeah, so just on that note then, so how do we actually put all of this into practice ourselves in our gaming community? So we, as mentioned, we're a group of people. Justin, Simon and I are just one of many. So we've created this group in the home office, and as I said, at times it can feel a bit like we're like an underground guerrilla group helping people to understand Agile better. So we reach out across the entire department to portfolios, to SMT, to teams that have come across and heard about us and are looking to help us run sessions. We have a separate board so not this one, that we use to actually track opportunities, and it's also our space where we come up to create games. It's a bit of our laboratory as well. So yeah, tracking opportunities and then building games, as mentioned. We have tried to source a lot of games that are in existence already, some of which you might be aware of, such as like the name game or the shape game, or but COVID has proved that with working from home, we've got to adapt a lot of stuff. So we've had to build some of the games ourselves, which has been a really fun experience and got us to talk about things like, do we go for something really outside of the box, or do you do something that's quite close to home with the working experience? For me personally, I found the more outside of the box I go, the more of a psychological safe environment you create where people can kind of relax a bit and think, oh, this is fun, I can drop my guard and interact with this game. Whereas if you bring it closer to work, it's a bit like, oh, how do I react to this? And is this basically a dig at my manager? So, which is not what we're intending to do at all. We're also really keenly aware that we want to nurture this community. So as well as putting on these games, it's a good way for us to practice our facilitation skills and to coach new and junior members to become facilitators as well. So as mentioned, we will find the opportunity, build a game for that opportunity, be it a team or an SMT group that wants to learn more about Agile. We'll then offer the opportunity out to facilitators, always a minimum of 2 there to run the workshop and the session. And then we actually perform the sessions and get feedback on it, and just kind of build this out more and more. So Justin, if you can move me along to the next section of what we have achieved so far. So this group has been running for 3 months since October. We've done a number of sessions and we've reached out to 102 people across the organisation, which was really exciting for us. So we've played games with SMT and got Director Generals to play the coin flipping game, which was a very fun experience indeed. We have played it with an entire portfolio before. So we've done the shape game, we've done the animal sanctuary game, and we've done the name game as well, with professions. So portfolios, S&T, professional groups like project managers and delivery managers. We've also worked with particular teams in the home office as well, and put on these sessions all in the spirit of learning, having fun and helping people to understand how to work in a complex delivery space. We found that, you know, you've got to adapt things at different levels for the different audience. So what I mean by that is there is no kind of dumbing things down at all. When we were playing it with SMT, we were really clear, look, this is going to be a fun session for you, just embrace it. And it doesn't matter if you're a director general or you're completely new to the department, everyone loves the coin flipping game. So it's all about getting involved and getting that spirit up and going. So yeah, so run 4 sessions since October. One of the best things about this group is that we've gone from a very small number. I think it was just 4 of us at the start. We've grown to 18 people so far and counting. We're always on the lookout for more people to join us together. And we have a number of games that are ready and kind of there to be played. So if you look into the next section, which is games that we have in our quiver, you can see I've got a selection of post-it notes here. So the green post-it notes are names of games that we have got ready. We know that they can be played remotely. I'm happy to kind of share experiences outside of this call and how that's gone. We've also got on the blue post-it notes the names of games that we haven't tried out yet and that we're not entirely comfortable with doing remotely yet. So if anyone's got any ideas, please feel free. What we wanted to get from you all is if you've got any examples of games that you have played or games that you know of that have been played, be it remotely or not, if you want to put them on the post-it note, and if you've got any links to resources, please feel free to link them on there, because as mentioned in the last CrossGov community call in December, one of the artifacts that our group was talking about would be really good for us all to have was this kind of Rolodex of Agile games that we could play as a community and that you can play into teams as well. So us in the Home Office, we would be more than happy to help contribute that and help kind of foster that and kick that off. So yeah, if you've got any games that you can think of and I want to add it to the board, this board will be left open, but feel free to go ahead. And if you can't access the mural board for whatever reason and you want to drop it in the chat, that's absolutely fine as well.
Thanks, Sarah. Right, I think I'm ready. It's going to be underwhelming now, given all the waiting. All I can say is I'm never going to use EtherCalc again. It's like the worst tool ever. I'll give you some feedback. Right. Hang on. So.
Yeah, so just to reiterate Sarah's request there, if you have some games that you're aware of or the material, please put it. So where I am on the board currently, I'll just summon everyone over. This is the space for us to input some indication of what it is and you're like maybe how to contact you or link to it if it's already there. That will be really, really useful to us. And thank you for the battleships one. Oh, there you go.
So I get going? What do you got?
Yeah.
10 minutes? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So part two of the game. So management have realised it's only 8 weeks until Pentecost, which excellent user research has uncovered is the biggest pen flipping day of the year. So they want to know how many can you do by Pentecost. The more flips you can do, the better. But unfortunately, if you get the number wrong, then everyone will get fired and it'll be replaced by machines. So there's some degree of jeopardy. So I want to look first of all at what happened to with the original runs. So if I just share my screen. So this is a fairly basic, not as basic as I could have made it, I suppose. I'm trying to visualize the estimates. So these are all the estimates that I could eventually extract from EtherCalc. We'd anticipated about 100. So anyway, so what I'm trying to show here is the estimates that you made versus the actuals. So each vertical is one person's estimates versus actuals. So does anybody, what do people notice about how that graph looks? And this is just for one. Speak up or put it in the chat.
Practice makes perfect, isn't it? So is the iterations are getting better as you're doing more practice?
So this one is just, this is everybody. So this is a view of single estimates versus actual. So this one is first person. The estimate was 25, the actual was 10. Oh, sorry, 12, 11. Next person. So the gap between blue and red in each vertical is how close they were. Any more observations?
Some underestimated, some overestimated, and some almost perfectly estimated, and there doesn't seem to be any pattern.
Exactly, yeah. And then when you look, so I tried to kind of visualize the variance, the estimate to actual, and the further to the left it is, I guess, the closer it is to being bang on. And so there's quite a wide, I mean, there's quite a lot around 0 to 10%, but there's quite a wide spread. Somebody got 400%. I don't know whether that was plus or minus, but anyway, I mean, that's the cone of uncertainty, right? Plus or minus 400%, so well done. So then we move on to the 6-pin estimate. Now, I guess the basis for this was that you'd actually done it once and you had a bit more kind of idea about how to do it well. But as you can see, there's still variance. Except good enough in estimates. Yeah, possibly. I guess the point is, it's really hard, right? So the question is, if there's a metaphorical and in no way threatening gun to your head to produce an estimate, is there a better way of doing it? So, you know, if this kind of the existential nature of your company is at threat, by, you know, for you to give an estimate, what can you do? So the answer to that is to do some kind of forecasting or simulation. So I'm really quickly, in about 3 minutes, going to try and talk through this. So some of you might have heard of Monte Carlo simulation. And the idea is that you basically take some actual data that is real, and then you use that to, you sample that in a series of simulations. So if you can see my screen, this is the source data. So these are 7 data points, and each row here is a simulation of doing 8 work weeks. So each one is taking that value there, 18, and then that one is randomly selected. You can see up here, it's just randomly selecting one of these values, and then it's doing it 1,000 times, which I'm not going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, but basically Excel doesn't like more than about 1,000 of those. Well, certainly on my other machine it didn't. Anyway, so the point is that you come up with a bunch of simulations where you've got your combined total here. Now, that's all really good, but what do you do with it? Well, obviously you put it into a graph because everyone likes a graph. And so this is a distribution graph, so a frequency of outcomes from those simulations. So as you can see, like the most common occurrence is an outcome of between 106 and 107 as a total number. And that happened just under 140 times. And you can see here, so yeah, 135. So if you were asked to kind of use this information to then take a punt on how many you thought you could get done to keep your bosses happy and not get fired, what would you choose? Any ideas? This is the most frequent. Is that a good bet?
Paul Cooper, you're on mute, mate. I think you're talking, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, I was going to say, put my mic down. Yeah, somewhere between about 102 and 112 times.
Okay. Any other offers?
I'd go, for me, I'd go lower, just to take cognizance of the fact that, things could happen. Stuff does happen along the way. And so that gives you more leeway.
Okay. So one thing, that's a good point. But one thing to bear in mind is that by using actual data, this kind of, there are a bunch of caveats, but one of which is that your system is relatively stable and is similar to the data you're using for the forecasting. But this kind of takes into account that variation. So actually, like if you think about it in terms of stories, it doesn't matter that you've got big stories or small stories. That's kind of moot. If you've got the data, that's the capability of your system. Anyway, I'll spare you I won't drag it out too long. Basically, this is a kind of an accumulation of, I put them into percentiles. So basically, 48% of the time, you get this outcome, right? So that's the same as a coin flip. And would you bet your job on a coin flip? I'm going to say no. I mean, you might have a more substantial risk appetite than me, or no mortgage, I don't know. But yeah, so basically, the further it goes, the lower the risk, but the more conservative, I suppose, you're, because there is variation, and this is all about probability. But basically, I've color coded it because 50 red is to tell you don't choose this number unless you're mad. And then up here, you can see like sort of around 100 to 105. That's kind of between 77 and 57%. So that's all right. But I guess normally the 85th percentile is kind of the sweet spot as a balance between risk and kind of delivery. So here you can see it's about 98 to 99. So if you would, I guess the other thing is you go back to management and say, look, I can't give you a single number. Like, what's your appetite for risk? Like, here you go. If you want to be super conservative, I'd be absolutely sure, or more or less absolutely sure. You've only got 7 data points, so it's not ideal. But you choose that. But you can have a conversation with them. And I suppose that's the point of this, is you want to visualize the risk and the range and the caveats, so that you can have a conversation with the people who want the estimate about like how risky they're feeling. And to get away from having a single number, because estimates based on a single number are bobbins, generally. That's a non-technical term, but I'm sure other people will disagree with me, but we don't have time for an argument, so sorry. Anyway, yes, so that's the point. This is a really, really basic thing. There's a guy called Troy McGinnis, who some of you may have heard of, who's got a spreadsheet that does a lot more forecasting. It's got a lot more kind of variables that you can put in, kind of specific to software development. And for those of you who know me, I love a good book. The other book, if you really want to read one, is this. Can you see that? Actionable Agile Metrics for Predictability by a guy called Dan Vacanti. And he also has some online software that plugs directly into Jira that lets you do this forecasting off the back of Agile Kanban boards. It's an awesome book, and he goes into some detail about the caveats around, like the Little's Law. There are some very specific caveats around that, around your system being stable, that it's worth reading about. But anyway, sorry, I've waffled enough, but yes, read those books and get forecasting.
Thanks, Simon. So we're very cutting it really close. In fact, it's already 2:00, but I just want to say thanks so much. So thank you all for bearing with us whilst we put on that game. It wasn't easy to try and think of a game for 50 people plus, but we pulled it off, so it's really good. And I know Barry's just dropped in a link for feedback, which we'd be really grateful for. We have actually got a space on our board as well. If you are interested in joining our community, we'd be more than happy for people to join and let us know. So there is space on the mural board for you to leave your email address and your name if you want to get invited to our meetups. We meet every Friday, I think every 2 weeks, to think about games and come up with them and run them for sessions. We'd love to think about maybe bringing this into a cross-gov level as well.
Fantastic. I'm going to say thank you very much. That's been fascinating. I can see feedback is flooding in already, and interactive as well, and a great audience. So thank you very much. Please do leave feedback. It only takes a couple of clicks. Unfortunately, we're over time, but please take up the offer to join Sarah, Justin, and Simon's community. We'll see you next time for coming in. Yeah, we'll see you next time for some case studies on what all of you guys are doing. But thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.